Risings, everybody. This is Mystical Ariel here to shake the matrix, expand our minds, and make us all think. Don't mind me this morning with the little thing in the morning there. That was just me sending a quick message to someone, letting them know we are live and where we really are. So, how are you guys all doing? It doesn't matter what time it is you're watching this, because time is nothing but a construct that we've created. It doesn't even matter what you identify as, because that is nothing but a construct that we created too. Today, we want to go deep. We want to pull back layers beyond layers. Now, what I'm about to teach to you guys are the cracks in reality that not only are just out there in our ancient texts and philosophy and science and all of that, but these are experiences I've discovered my own self as well. I want you to understand that every teaching that I give you guys, I'm not only presenting you with every level that there is in humanity to actually process this through, but I'm saying to you, this is what I have discovered. I have discovered this in the realms of the face-to-face of all creation. I am that I am. I've discovered this on this planet, and what we've decided is this existence. And I've discovered it through some of the most intense trials and storms that humanity can face. To sit here before you like the eye of the storm. See, there's a rod of steel that's down my spine that's so solid that it doesn't matter, because it is the center of I am that I am. It gets to float through this existence and observe. Observe the experience at hand. To come to a place that we can remove the veil. And as someone who has gone through some of the most horrendous things that life can hand you, that it breaks records, makes the mind think, shakes the system, expands the mind, goes, what? How? And so I came to share, because I promised one thing. I've traveled through time, which doesn't exist, which is how I'm here. I've come through many dimensions, many realities, and in all of them, I discovered one thing. We are not solid matter. Matter is mostly made up of empty space. And we are I am that I am. Creators. There's no loss. There's no gain. There's no expansion. But we have been prisoners within a system that has made us to believe in a schizophrenic external creation. Because we fragmented. So welcome back, everyone. Yesterday we opened the first two cracks in reality. The crack in vision, the crack in matter, We saw what you call seeing is not a direct feed of the world, but a construction. We saw that what feels solid is mostly empty space and energy in relation. But today we're going to go deeper. So just give me a second while I forward this. One more to someone here. You know, we saw that what you call seeing is not a direct feed, and we saw the feed of the world, but a construction. We saw that what feels solid is mostly empty space and energy in relation. But we're going to go to more layers. Because if vision can be edited and matter can be mostly emptiness, then what about the things we trust the most? What about time? What about language? What about the I that seems to stand in the middle of everything? But today what I want to do is continue through the cracks, the remaining cracks, time, language, the self. And we go, and as we go along, what I want to do is keep the same question in mind. And I want you to hold on to this question is, what if reality is not broken but being revealed? So take a breath. And let yourself arrive here fully, and let's begin. See, most of us live inside time as if it is the most obvious thing in the world. There is the past behind us. There is the future ahead of us. And then there is the present moment, the one we think we are in right this moment. But if we look closely, the present is not as simple as it seems. See, right now, light from this room is actually entering your eye. Sound is traveling through the air into your ears, and sound is traveling through the air into your ears, into the sensations is moving through your body. Your nerve signals are traveling to the brain. Now understand this is going to shake you to the core, but by the time your brain has actually gathered all of this information and unified experience, the event is already past. So you don't even see anything actually as it's happening. Yeah. So now you feel, you feel is not a raw instant. It is a stitched together interpretation from all the things that you've identified yourself over the frickin' time and spent in years and blah, 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 and the programmings. So the brain takes the signal arriving to different speeds and combines them into one seamless moment. And that means your experience of now is already a kind of translation, not fake, not meaningless, but constructed. I mean, you got to think about that. The sun you see is not the sun as it is right this second. The light from the sun took about 8 minutes to reach your eyes. So when you look at the sun, you are seeing the past. When you hear a sound, your body is receiving a message that left its source before you become aware of it. And this means the present is never just a pure point. It is always layered with what came before, with what is arriving now, and with what the mind expects next. And this is why time feels so strangely fluid. You know, a minute of fear can feel like an hour. A joyful day can pass in what feels like a blink of an eye. And when you are deeply absorbed, time disappears. And when you are in pain, time expands. So time is not just a clock on the wall. Time is a psychological and neurological experience. And your brain does not simply measure time, it creates your sense of time. And that changes everything. Because if time is constructed in experience, then maybe the past is not as fixed as it seems either. That's why it's about remembering I am that I am that I am. And the past lives in memory. And memory is not a perfect recording. Memory is a reconstruction. And every time you remember something, you are not opening an untouched archive. You are rebuilding the event, fragments, feelings, and interpretations. And that means the past you live with now is also edited. And the future is not here, but your brain is already predicting it. Psychology tells us that the brain is a prediction machine. It is constantly preparing for what might happen next. It uses patterns to guess the future and then shapes your present behavior around that guess. So your experience of time is a triangle: memory of the past, sensation of the present, expectations of the future, and all three are influences what you call now. It's a field where memory is prediction meets. And this is why spiritual traditions have always spoken about the importance of presence. Not because presence is just thinking about the now, but because there is a deeper layer of awareness that is not trapped in the unusual flow of time. And you may notice that your thoughts move in time. Your thoughts say, I was this, I need to become that. I should have done this. What if that happens? But awareness itself, simple fact of being able to notice, seems less rushed, less bound, less trapped. It is as if thought happens in time, but awareness witnesses time. This is a very deep crack. Because it suggests that you are not only the person moving through time, you are also the space in which time appears. And let me say that again. You are not only the content moving through the story, you are the awareness in which the story unfolds. Now, from a philosophical angle, this is powerful. Many philosophies have said that what we call time is not the deepest reality. It is a way of organizing change. It is a structure the mind uses to make sense of motion, memory, and becoming. And from a mystical angle, time is one of the great illusions of separation. Why? Because time convinces us that we are always becoming something else. Always behind. Always not yet. Always arriving. Always leaving. But what if the deepest part of you is not moving in that way? What if the deepest part of you is already here? Already whole. Already aware. Already present. And now I want you to feel this directly for a moment. Notice the sound. And then notice another sound. And then notice the sensation in your body, and each one arrives, changes, and passes. Now ask quietly. What is that? Notices the changing. That noticing is not panicking. It is not rushing. It is not chasing. the next moment at all. It's just simply here. You see, this is one of the great spiritual discoveries, that under the movement of time, there is a stillness of awareness. Not an empty nothingness, a living presence. So the third crack is this: the present is strictly together. Time is experienced, not merely measured, and awareness seems to witness time rather than be trapped inside of it. Just take a breath. And let that land. So now we're going to go to crack 4, language. Language is one of the most powerful things humans have ever created. The language we can teach across generations, share ideas, build civilizations, write scriptures, name the invisible. And language is beautiful. But it is also a filter, because language takes living reality and turns it into symbols. It turns movement into nouns. It turns process into labels. It turns mystery into categories. Take something simple like a tree. And when you say the tree is green, that sentence is useful and it helps you communicate. But the actual tree is not static object wearing green like a coat. The tree is drinking water through its roots, exchanging gases with the atmospheres, making sugar through light, communicating with fungi underground, changing with seasons, participating in a living ecosystem. The sentence, the tree is green, collapses all of that into shortcut. Language does not all the time. You know, we say, that's my anxiety, that's my personality, that's my trauma, that's just who I am. But those are all labels placed over living processes. You are not a fixed noun. You are a flow of experience, biology, memory, emotion, adaptation, and awareness. Language helps us organize life, but language also freezes life. And this is why words can become prisons. A label can be useful, but if you mistake the label for the whole truth, you stop seeing the living reality underneath it. I mean, think about how often conflict becomes think about how often conflict happens because of our languages and what we speak. I mean, one person says one thing or one word, and another person attaches an entire story to those words. And the other person who said the word didn't even mean anything close to what those words were even entangled on. A single phrase can trigger shame, defense, hope, grief, or rage. Why? Because words do not carry just definitions. They carry history. They carry memory. They carry emotion. They carry interpretation. So language is never neutral. It shapes what we notice and what we miss. Now let's bring in the deeper spiritual layer. Many mystical traditions say the truth cannot be fully captured by words. Words point, words suggest, words guide, but they do not contain the thing itself. A map is not the territory. A finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. This is a crucial realization. Hey, how's it going? Because if language is a filter, then enlightenment is not about collecting better words. It is about seeing through words. And that does not mean words, are useless. It means they are limited. They really are. The world puts all kinds of things onto us. We put them onto us. We identify and all these things. And the thing is, it's language that we created. None of it's solid. See, Gnostics and the mystical traditions often speak in this way, is that the outer teaching is not the inner knowing. The symbol is not the source. The doctrine is not the direct experience. And that is why two people can hear the exact same teachings and leave completely different experiences. Because their story interprets their experience of the words they hear. So one person hears a concept, another person feels rupture in their identity. And another person opens into silence. The words are the same, but the inner seeing is different. And that is because language does not end reality. It translates it. Oh, we do that to ourselves all the time. We think that's the end. That's all there is. Now notice this is in your own life. How many times have you said, I am this kind of person? How many? Come on. First of all, I want you to understand, like I said, I've been walking through this stuff and it's so real. I always do this. I never do that. I'm broken. I'm behind. I'm sick. I'm too much. I'm not enough. I'm going to die. I'm going to live. I'm going to. I had to simplify all of those and just go, fuck. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. Wave the white flag. That's it. No. Throw these identities out the bloody window. Gosh, if I did not know, I would not be here, y'all. Nope. Oh, gosh, no. I am that. These are not just descriptions, they are spells. Do you understand the spells we put on ourselves? I was a poet and I didn't even know it. There you go. They shape this nervous system. They shape the emotions. They shape behavior. They shape identity. So the fourth crack is this. Language is useful, but it freezes a living world. Words are maps, not territory, and if we mistake the label for the truth, we lose contact with what is alive. I want you to feel this, but I want you to say this silently. Tree, body, self, time, reality. And now I want you to ask this one important question. What is actually here before the damn word? What is here before the word? I. What is here before the label? I. What remains when the mind stops naming? I. And that never stops ceasing to exist. That silence before the word is one of the places reality opens. Crack 5. Self. We come to the final crack today. The self. The I. This is the deepest, most intimate illusion of all. Because it feels like the center of life. And most of us experience ourselves as one continuous being. I have a body. I have a thought. I have memories. I am making choices. I am moving through the world. And it feels obvious, but when we look more closely, the self starts to behave less like a solid object and more like a pattern. Think of a flame. You can point to a flame and say, that is a flame. But every second, new fuel is being consumed. The light is shifting, the shape is changing. The material is not the same from one moment to the next. And yet the flame appears continuous. It is a pattern. Yourself is like that. Your body is changing constantly. Cells die and are replaced. Chemicals rise and fall. Hormones shift. And the nervous system adapts. Your mind is changing constantly through thoughts appears, thoughts disappear. Emotions rise. Emotions fade. And your story changes too. Who you think you are, what you believe, what you fear, what you desire. So what exactly is the I that remains the same? Psychology tells us that what we call self is deeply tied to memory, narrative, attention, habit, social identity, body awareness. The self is not one thing, it is an ongoing integration of many processes. The brain creates a working model called me, so that you can function in the world. But that model is not the deepest truth of what you are. And this is where spirituality gets very interesting. Because many teachings say the self is not the final identity. It is a role. It is a mask. It is temporary structure. And beneath the I is awareness, not the personality, not the biography, not the performance. Awareness, the open witness. You know, the thing in you that knows. The thought, the feeling, the fear, the body, and I, the memory. You know, this witness is difficult to define because it is not an object at all. It is the space in which all objects appear, and this is where the self feels so strange when it starts to dissolve. See, people sometimes have moments in meditation, prayer, grief, sickness, awe, and deep love where the usual boundaries of self soften. People have this on psychedelic experiences and stuff. Shaman healing, nature walks, where all of a sudden everything dissolves and becomes one, because that is it. The I becomes less rigid. And in that moment, there is sense of openness, of unity, oneness, of peace, of being more than the person you thought you were. This is this is not even a loss. It can be a becoming, a homecoming, a returning. And let's connect this with a wider, even more. So is if vision is edited, if matter is mostly emptiness, time is stitched together then, isn't it? Language freezes the living world. And then the self may also be more fluid than we ever even thought or imagined. And maybe the me you call yourself is not the final container of reality. Maybe it is the one wave in which the larger sea is unified as the big ocean. Comes in the larger sea. The false self is part of the veil. The true spark must remember itself. That is why the kingdom is within. And gnosis is awakening of what was hidden beneath the persona. What was hidden beneath the shit that we covered the diamond with. So what is the self really? It is the thing. Is it a thing? Or a process? Is it an entity or a story? See, the brain constructs a coherent sense of me for survival, right? But that coherence is built from distribution and distributed systems, not a single solid self. Psychology says identity is shaped by attachment, memory, trauma, language, and social context. And mysticism whispers, look deeper. The I is not the end of the road. Now I want you to do one more short exploration with you. Is sit with these questions for just a few breaths. Who are you before the story about yourself? Who are you before the name? Who are you before the roles? What are you before the labels? Who are you before the memory? And if the answer comes as a thought, notice that the thought is not the thing itself. It is another movement in awareness. And a deeper question is not answered with words, it is recognized in silence. And perhaps that is the point. The self is a useful pattern, but not the final truth. So the fifth crack is this, I. It is not a solid center. It is a pattern of memory, attention, sensation, and story. And underneath that awareness is itself. I mean, let's just bring this all together, for instance. I mean, we've been exploring time and how the present is stitched together. We're talking about language and how the words freeze a living world. Self and how I is a pattern, not a permanent object. And with the first two cracks from part one, we now have the full set. Vision, matter, time, language, and self. And these are not just philosophical ideas, these are openings. They reveal that what we call reality is not a fixed block of stuff. It is a living, edited, interpreted, constructed experience. But that does not mean it is meaningless. It means reality is even deeper than the version we normally live inside of. And that deeper reality is not separate from us. It is here now, in your seeing, in your body, in your time, in your language, in your sense of self, and beyond all of them. So, as we close, I want you to leave you with this. By the way, is if reality is being edited before us, and if the cracks are where the truth actually leaks through, and then we get to see, then your life is not about becoming something new. It is about remembering what was always there and what was never lost. See, you've never been the image, and you've never been the matter, and you've never been the clock on the wall. You've never been the words. You are not just the mask. You are the awareness in which all of this existence appears. Let it settle in you. And as you go into the rest of your day, maybe carry this one question with you. What becomes possible when I stop treating the edited version as the whole truth? See, that's the invitation. That is the crack through which light gets in.